Welcome to the Through These Gates podcast, the most rational Nebraska football show on the internet. I'm your host, Caleb Salvatore. We're not going to do a lot of these pregame shows because this is a postgame reaction show, but I got to do this one for the Colorado game. I've heard so much hype around Coach Prime. You had the biggest line shift that I can remember. It went from Nebraska minus 8.5 to Colorado plus 3. The hype surrounding Colorado right now after one game, and we'll get into that in a minute, one game against an overrated team is truly a cultural phenomenon. And I get it. If they didn't have Deion Sanders, if this was some coach that came in, Joe Schmo, and they did this, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. If he did everything the same, minus the attitude of Deion Sanders, there wouldn't be this type of hype around him. And that's what happens when you have a coach that has the type of personality that Deion does. When you come in and it looks legit, especially in the first game, when you come in and look legit, that's what's going to come with it, is that type of publicity. So I understand that. Like if this were Gary Patterson that came in and did this, it wouldn't be the same level of hype. You know what I mean? But I understand when you have a coach that does that much to draw attention to himself, you're going to get this type of media hype surrounding your program, and that is a blessing and a curse because it is a long fall from where Colorado is right now. I mean, I'm seeing people compare him to Nick Saban, people saying Nebraska has no chance. And Deion, look, props to him. They won their first game. They beat a Power 5 opponent. I'm not trying to take away from what Deion did. I'm just asking people to come back down to earth. And we'll go over some numbers and stuff in a couple minutes here that sum up why I think that people need to just relax, pump the brakes. People just have to chill. I saw a statistic that said more money came in on Colorado than all 32 NFL teams this week. You guys don't realize how insane that is. And that was from Bet Online specifically, but I'm assuming it's like that everywhere else, or pretty close to it at least. We're an 11 a.m. game. People watch what they bet. That's typically how it goes. The only other 11 a.m. game on, I believe, is Baylor and Utah. That's worth watching, and I don't think that's going to be much of a game. You're talking possible record-breaking numbers for a college football regular season game on Saturday. That's what you're looking at right now. So when I see the hype around Deion Sanders and the comparisons to Nick Saban, listen, I understand. I'm in media. I get it. I understand you have to do something to generate controversy and get clicks and all that. I understand that. But at some point, you've got to relax. You've got to take a step back and go, okay, maybe this isn't quite as good. Because here's the thing. When you have, the money pouring in on Colorado, when you have the general public that convinced, that biased toward one team, very rarely are they right. Vegas doesn't give away free money to that degree. Vegas is taking advantage of this entire thing. You can go on Bet Online. The only team they have games you can gamble on in college football beyond week 2 is Colorado. They're like, yeah, put all that dumb short bus. That's what I call it, short bus money, because it comes from stupid people. Put all that short bus money in right now on Colorado, so when they get exposed against Nebraska, you're going to have second thoughts, and it's too late. So they're trying to cash out on this now before the lines shift drastically. Because it is. You're going to see a lot of overreaction, and you're already seeing that. Vegas is not going to give that much money away. Honestly, Vegas I trust more than most sports analysts, really. Vegas, they know. They're not going to lose this much money. And maybe they will. I mean, they play the game. They're on the field. So Vegas isn't going to lose this much money. Here's the facts. Yes, Colorado beat TCU. Yes, TCU was in the national championship last year. Yes, they returned their coach. Here's the problem with that, though. That TCU team returned, I believe, 3 starters on offense. They lost 4 out of 5 starting offensive linemen. They lost their once-in-a-lifetime quarterback. Their defense was already a little suspect last year. They returned 7 starters, and Colorado put up 45 points on them. This is a TCU team, like I said, returns 3 starters on offense. 80% of that offensive line is gone. And they still scored 42 points, ran the ball for over 7 yards per carry. Now you go to Nebraska. Nebraska played a Minnesota team that returned almost all of its starting defense, and honestly has a good starting defense, a big team, good offensive line. They can run the ball, and they gave up 13 points. Nebraska, I understand the turnovers were bad, but you cut the turnovers out. They ran the ball very well on Minnesota, a team with a much better and much bigger and much more physical defense than Colorado. I think it's an objective fact that Nebraska faced a better team with a better coach than Colorado did in week 1, and the swing was 6 points. 6 points in a blown call by the replay refs. I don't think that it's out of the question to suggest that Nebraska pulls this upset off. I think if they keep the ball on the ground, they keep the ball away from Sanders, because that's the thing. You're in a shootout. A quarterback like Sanders, when he's rolling, he's rolling. But that's how teams used to beat the old New England Patriots, because I'm a Patriots fan. I grew up that way. Teams used to beat the Patriots by keeping the ball away from Brady, making the game ugly, dominating time of possession, not letting him get into rhythm. And I think if Nebraska can keep the ball away, you don't have to score every time you touch the ball, but if you can shorten the length of this game and keep the ball away from Sanders, and if they go down the field and score on the first drive or even on the first 2 drives, don't abandon the plan yet. Just relax. We'll see where we're at in the second half. If they can run the ball, keep it away from Sanders, and keep him out of any consistent type of rhythm, they've got a shot. Now, Jeff Sims is obviously a question. So what if they stack the box and they deny the run? Is Sims good enough? Well, here's the thing, and it goes for both of these quarterbacks. Sanders threw for, 500 yards last week? He's a good quarterback, but he's not going to throw for 500 yards every week. That's asinine to suggest. Sims, on the other hand, one of the worst games of his career. 3 interceptions. Odds are both, when guys have either historically good or historically bad games, more often than not, they come back toward the middle. Law of averages just says Jeff Sims is not going to throw 3 picks a game. Shedeur Sanders is not going to throw 500 yards a game. Both of them are going to get brought back to earth in different ways. So Jeff Sims just needs to not cost us the game. He doesn't need to be Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders is a better quarterback than him when it comes to throwing the ball. It's a fact. It's true. But he doesn't need to be him. When Eli's Giants beat Tom Brady's Patriots twice in the Super Bowl, they didn't beat him because Eli played to the level of Brady. They beat them because they made it a nasty game and they brought them down to their level. That's how, when you look at these teams like these triple option teams that play game like Army for the longest time back when in Jeff Monken's golden era, when they were playing teams like Oklahoma, taking them to overtime, playing close with Michigan, you name it. They just made them play their game. They brought them down to their level. They say, hey, we don't have the talent, we don't have the speed, we don't have the size to. Nebraska does have more size than than Colorado, but we don't have the size to play with these guys. So we're going to make them play a nasty, sloppy, dirty game because we know that's how we win. That's how we play every week. That's how we practice. We're going to make them play like us. And if Nebraska does that, they can beat Colorado. There's a lot of idiots out there that aren't even giving Nebraska a chance, and that's stupid. Even if you don't think Nebraska's going to win, to sit here and suggest they don't have a chance against a team that won 1 game last year and beat it, let's be real, probably the worst runner-up in the 21st century in college football, that was a fluke playoff team caught lightning in a bottle, lost over half of their starters, including 80% of the offensive line, and their once-in-a-lifetime quarterback. If you're going to tell me Nebraska doesn't have a chance, Nebraska, who just played a solid Minnesota team close and should have won if it wasn't for a bogus call at the end of the half, if you're going to tell me that Nebraska team doesn't have a chance against that Colorado team, you need to get off the sauce. Give me whatever you're smoking. That's equally as stupid as saying that Nebraska is going to come in and steamroll them, because I don't think that's going to happen either. I think it'll be a close game. I think Nebraska wins by a touchdown. And I think the 59.5 point over is ridiculous. Over under is ridiculous as well. I'm not a gambling advice podcast, but take that as you will. But yeah, no. So I don't think that it's going to be this blowout. I actually think Nebraska wins. I think they bounce back. I think there's a lot of motivation. I think Colorado comes back down to earth. They have to. The media is setting them up for such a reality check over this last week. The Saban comparisons. I saw one AP writer had them in their top 10. They're now favored to go to the Rose Bowl. They have 4 players in the top 8 for the Heisman. Just the insane level of hype cannot be true. It can't. So I think they're going to come back down to earth this week, and I think they're going to get maybe not exposed, but that's a long drop. That is a long drop when you've been hyped up that much over the last week, and you have a coach that's an egomaniac. That's a long drop for Colorado, and I think they're going to see it this week. You lose to a Nebraska team that's been down on its luck for a long time. Wouldn't it be funny if we won by like 4 points, 3 points? Because that's been our Achilles heel. We've been snake bitten for the last however many years under Frost and Riley. Wouldn't that be something if we came out and won by a score? That would be the ultimate statement. This is the ultimate recovery game. You just lost another close one-score game off of just idiotic plays in the clutch because you don't have a clutch gene in your body. If you were to come out and beat this Colorado team that is on top of the college football world right now, everyone in the media's darling, if you could come out and beat these guys, forget what happened in the Minnesota game. You're on top of the world. Now, that's the shot in the arm this program needs to get back. I mean, this would be, if they were to come out and beat Colorado on the road, when Colorado's on top of the respective college football world, everyone's talking about Deion, about what a genius he is, how they're going to steamroll Nebraska. They don't have a chance. If Nebraska can come out and beat them on the road in Deion's home opener as a head coach, his inaugural home game, that would be, in my opinion, just as big of a confidence boost for this team and just as much of a shot in the arm as it would be to beat Michigan in week 5. And I'm not exaggerating. It would be huge, and I think they're going to do it. I think Nebraska 27, Colorado 20. 23. Let's say 23. Colorado 23. I think Nebraska wins. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, share around if you like what you heard. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think the score is going to be down in the comments. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think it's somewhere in between? Let me know. It helps with the algorithm, and I get to read your opinions on it, and I like to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you later. Peace.